Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Tuesday, January 28th, 2014. I am hoping to be able to move very quickly through these links because I have a lot of links this morning and it just seems like there's an awful lot going on. The first article is from Blacklisted News. Mexico legalizes Vigilantes, Nabs cartel leader. It appears that perhaps Mexico wants to provide a more just environment for their people. Now, we're not used to vigilantism being equated with justice, but in the case of Mexico, it does appear that these guys are tracking down and getting some cartel leaders. And it seems that Mexico does have a wish for justice in some of these matters pertaining to the cartels. Another indication is that Ian Garland was interviewed by the Consul General, the assistant to the Consul General of Mexico, in an effort to learn more about Fast and Furious and how the U.S. government supplied drug cartels with weapons. So this is kind of an interesting development. It could be a very bad thing. On the other hand, it could be like, you know, what they're calling vigilantes are what we might call just local militia guys who are trying to promote justice and obtain justice for their people. I have a few articles about some things more related to pop culture. From Infowars.com, Christian singer walks out on Grammys after satanic performances. I've noticed a lot of tweets from Mark Dice about the Grammys. Evidently, they were very offensive in many respects. And this has been happening more and more. These, this headline calls them satanic performances. I did not see the Grammys, but the last time I watched the Super Bowl halftime, I guess it was a couple years ago, I was really rather stunned by Madonna's dance, how many occult references there were. It really was effectively a satanic worship ritual, and I'm not going to be a party to these things. And it seems like a religious reaction, and by religious I mean judgmental, whatever, to do this. But when you remain there, you are participating, you are giving your nod to it. So sometimes walking out is really the best thing that one can do. And kind of continuing on the idea of pop culture and even the Super Bowl, although this is not pop culture, you've probably already heard about the doves being released in the Vatican and being attacked by a seagull and a crow. And this article from Another Voice, Revelation 18:4, it has to do with this being an occult, intentionally crafted incident, and inferring that the Ravens will win the Super Bowl. And there's really just a lot of information here. And this article is proposing that the seagull and the crow were intentionally released, and I don't know how one would do that, but conditioned to attack the doves. And this is a message from the elite that they are going to devour peace, and also, of course, that the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. Those things all become merged, and that's why we're not always aware of the occult implications. And somebody who wasn't paying close attention to the Grammys or doesn't understand those symbols wouldn't know how significant it is that these occult rituals are being performed very publicly in ways that are crafted, intended to draw people like us in, or draw innocent people in. And just going along with the idea of, the raven, the crow representing war. Here is an article from Investment Watch. War is a bankster racket. And we do know that, here's the first statement here. Most people can't distinguish between government propaganda that declare wars as bringing democracy to countries versus the truth that wars are a bankster-controlled racket designed to steal resources and make bankers filthy rich. Highly decorated army generals have written books to expose the profit-driven reasons for war worldwide. So hopefully this video will be helpful in explaining some of these ideas. And it's a 17-minute video, so just the right length to give enough information. An article from Infowars.com, CFR calls on Obama to befriend Al-Qaeda terrorist group. This is just as kind of an example of what's the kinds of things that are going on with Obama and the network that he is a part of. Here from the Vatican Project is an article, Should Obama be tried for treason after his NSA speech on Friday? And certainly Obama is moving in these unlawful directions, and where will it end? It's really difficult to say. At what point will people be bold enough to say, hey, this is treason, and do something about it? Here from Legitimate Government, U.S. Congress secretly approves a weapons flow to Syrian rebels. So it's not just Obama. The Congress is complicit in many of these crimes against the people of the U.S. And here clearly the U.S. people don't want U.S. involvement in Syria, and made that very obviously clear. And yet the Congress goes ahead and secretly approves weapons flow to Syria. And yesterday, the information from Benjamin Fulford's blog made it pretty clear that, at least based from his opinion, from his point of view, these conflicts that are going on in Ukraine and various other parts of the world are being stirred up intentionally by the Cabal as a desperate grasp to retain their power. From Blacklisted News, Thailand, regime assassinates protest leader on eve of sham elections. Thailand was one of the nations that Fulford named as being a hotspot of contention, where the Cabal is trying to stir up problems and to divert attention away from themselves, and to, in an effort to postpone their demise, which is inevitable. And just as an aside, yesterday Karen Hudis on Facebook made a comment that there is a 95% chance that we will be able to restore the rule of law. So, amen to that. Come, rule of law, please. Now I just have a series of articles that I couldn't open all these tabs, and I'm just going to scroll through some things on networked blogs. Just mentioning the Olympic Games, once again, these rituals, and they're around sports and entertainment, and they're crafted to draw people in. And from the Vatican Project, the 22nd Olympic Winter Games, Olympics history, Prometheus, and occult paganism. So I hope that as you watch some of these programs, if you choose to watch, you are at least aware, and don't let your spirit participate. Now, ideally, probably the best thing is just to not watch. But if you feel drawn to this for whatever reason, just don't be in agreement. Don't enter into agreement with the occult practices. From Drudge Report, no longer in possession of any confidential documents. Claims NSA uses data it collects for economic purposes. And that's, the real problem with the NSA. I mean, obviously they're lying, claiming that they're watching us because we're a terror threat. No, they are selling this data. It's industrial espionage, corporate espionage. So, this is being done not for safety purposes, but for economic purposes. Just to be clear about that. And speaking of economic purposes, I just have a series here of articles that have to do with the economy, and I'm just going to quickly scroll through. From Drudge Report, plunging currencies. From Oath Keepers, the FT goes there. Demand physical gold, as one day paper price manipulation will end catastrophically. I mentioned that the other day. There's a real issue with paper gold. From Occupy Corporatism, banking glitch, customers cut off from accounts for 3 hours. You might want to have some cash on hand all the time, just in case. And another from Occupy Corporatism, how retail security hacks fuel a call for smart currency. From Blacklisted News, way beyond Bitcoin, the coming of smart contracts. From Washington's blog, is a major gold scandal going mainstream. From Philosopher's Stone, BBC embroiled in further scandal as executive filmed Dutch child abuse movies, not specifically economic news there. And just scrolling past a few of these that are significant, but I won't mention them. From the Daily Paul, Bitcoin exchange CEO arrested by Justice Department. And I saw a headline somewhere else that the IRS and the DEA are going after him. So, interesting stuff there. Just from the 10th Amendment, I'll end this little bit with network blogs with some good news. Tennessee bill takes on NSA encryption-breaking facility at Oak Ridge. And that is not our final good news of the day. Back into the tabs here. Here is a film, a little over an hour and a half, New World Order, Domino Effect, 2013, full documentary. And I just thought that might be helpful to some people. From Natural News, 6 things emotionally secure people do more than others. After all that banking news, you may want to take a look at these. Number 1 is apologize. Number 2, go second position. Number 3, accept failure. Number 4, handle self-criticism. Number 5, step back. Number 6, focus on happiness, not on being right. So hopefully those are helpful to some of us. And from Sherry Questioning All, land patents. Claim your sovereign rights to your land. Can never be taken from you by the government or any bank. This is truth and this is important. Everyone needs to do this. It is real. I have heard of this, and it is real, and hopefully it is effective. Of course, when there is no rule of law, it's a little difficult to depend on anything, at least in the long term, but go for it if you have some land. It's certainly probably worth doing. Activist Post. Big Pharma and corporate media team up for pro-vaccine propaganda. And I have a couple articles here on vaccines. From Philosopher's Stone, the vaccine cover-up, 30 years of secret official transcripts show UK government cover-up vaccine hazards to sell more vaccines and harm your kids. So if you have children, I hope that you are very, very, very aware of some of these issues. From Activist Post is an interesting article about vaccines. Chilean legislation removes mercury from vaccines. It really seems as if some of these countries are beginning to really make some positive moves to protect their people from real threats, not the trumped up threats the NSA uses as an excuse to monitor every aspect of our lives. But this is great, and more power to Chile and her people. And here from American National Militia, I have the good news of the day, although of course some of these other articles contained good news as well. Washington state bills attempt to make fraud closure a felony. So it's not only other countries who are moving to protect their people, it is also some American states. And God bless those states, and God bless the Republic of the United States. And with that, thank you for joining me for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.